Thank you, so nice of you. First of all, congratulations, Dr. Bansi Sabu and team for getting us this opportunity after 2 years to meet physically as well as organizing a nice conference, as always he do. And he's one of the expert of this. And of course, thanks to Dr. Sanjay Agarwal and Dr. Bansi Sabu, who has done the wonderful scientific program and invited me for this nice topic. So this is the place where experience and science meets with each other. In last 10 years or 12 years, we have seen a lot of molecules has hit the market. But at the same time, we have seen a lot of studies have also come with tried and actually changed our practice. The new molecules which hit the market, they have actually taken their place, they made their place on the shortcomings of the existing molecule, but those existing molecules were later on continued to make their place by new trials and new study. I am talking about this trial which has been published in 2016. In this particular trial, what we could see and what we could establish that strict glycemic control can be very well maintained with this Jodi, what Dr. Panikkar was saying, although he was saying was metformin and pioglitazone, but the Jodi was working very good at multiple places. And we have seen a lot of trials. In real life settings without relevant weight changes, we could see that sulfonylurea, when it combined with the metformin, is doing better. So no significant difference in weight in patients what we could see if the metformin has been given with the glimepiride. Of course, the Carolina lessons are with us. We see that it has reassured on body weight neutrality with sulfonylurea. And glimepiride group weighed about 1.5 kg more than the linagliptin participants over the 6 years, but it was not found to be the statistically significant. There has been a very important TOSCA-IT trial which has focused on the long-term cardiovascular safety of the sulfonylurea. In this particular trial, we could see that incidence of the cardiovascular events were similar in patients treated with sulfonylurea, mostly with the glimepiride as well as the gliclazide. Both have been used in these patients, and those treated with pioglitazone as an add-on treatment to the metformin. So again, the pioglitazone has been found to be getting its lost place in medical practice and diabetes. Carolina reassures on the cardiovascular safety of the modern sulfonylurea. Cost effectiveness has again established a new understanding. Although we knew that sulfonylurea have been found to be very cost effective, but now we see that newer molecules which are coming up like DPP-4 inhibitors, even SGLT2 inhibitors are getting cost effective as the time is being passed. And now we are also on the way of getting that multiple cost-effective therapies for the diabetes management. As far as the second-line agents of the glycemic control is concerned for type 2 diabetes, are newer agents better? Use of sulfonylurea as second-line therapy for type 2 diabetes generated glycemic control and quality of life years comparable with those associated with other agents, but at lower cost. The regimen with sulfonylurea resulted in the longest time to insulin dependence. So metformin has not been stayed a holy grail anywhere. And we now see that every patient is not to be given metformin just to start with the metformin and keep on continuing till he dies. This concept is no longer staying with us. Metformin again has to be given depending upon its EGFR level of the patient. If it is more than 60, no contraindication, but still you need to monitor the renal functions annually. But if it is less than 60 but more than 45, you can continue use with more frequent renal function monitoring, but less than 45, although it is more than 30, continue with the caution, use lower dose, monitor renal function every 3 months. If caring for a new patient, do not initiate him on or her on metformin. Less than 30, no use of the metformin. This trial has very nicely explained by my previous speaker, IRIS trial, which has established pioglitazone a new way that it has been seen that pioglitazone after ischemic stroke or transient ischemic attack, it found that reduced the good risk reduction in stroke non-fatal, fatal both, MI, fatal, non-fatal both, acute coronary syndrome, heart failure, as well as incidence of diabetes, 52% incidence of the diabetes could be reduced, and of course the mortality. Bladder cancer with pioglitazone has also been made a hue and cry in last 10 years of the trials. What we could see that 2 conflicting studies published in the same journal in the 2016, and we could know that this study was showing the pioglitazone use and its risk of bladder cancer in patients with type 2 diabetes. It was a retrospective cohort study which has shown no evidence on association between ever use of the pioglitazone and risk of bladder cancer. On the other hand, the same journal was having a study which was relating the use of the pioglitazone with the risk of bladder cancer was associated with an increased risk of the bladder cancer. So it was having a lot of good things as well as a lot of constraints. So we can understand that pioglitazone is having a constraints of the increasing weight, edema, heart failure, bone fractures, and we must be careful while using in the older patient. But at the same time, a lot of good things are it causes rarely hypoglycemia, relatively higher HbA1c. We could see durability of the control remains for a longer time, reduces triglyceride, and of course it also reduces the cardiovascular event if it is initiated in the right patient. So it is an important agent from Indian perspective due to the high prevalence of the insulin resistance. Postprandial hyperglycemia has its own importance. My next speaker shall be having some ideas about this postprandial hyperglycemia, but I can tell you as a consensus statement on management of the postprandial hyperglycemia and how much it could be important for the country like India where the more people are eating the carbohydrate. Alpha glucosidase inhibitors have a crucial role in Indian type 2 diabetic patient because of the high carbohydrate diet and effectively control the postprandial hyperglycemia, providing the additional benefits. It can be used as first-line drug in early type 2 diabetes as well as in combination with nearly all established oral anti-diabetic drugs as well as in insulin. It has got its favorable effect on the postprandial glucose as well as fasting blood glucose and HbA1c, which reflects the overall improvement in glucose control on the patient. When we talk about the DPP-4 inhibitors, having more good things but less constraints, although having some theoretical constraints of the pancreatitis, urticaria, angioedema, CV safety has been questioned in some of the DPP-4 inhibitors, although they have been found to be the weight neutral, low risk of the hypoglycemia, least number of the side effects, and now they are cost effective also. Glycemic variability, what we could learn from the use of the DPP-4 inhibitors, they are having less glycemic variability. They are working to reduce microvascular complications, and especially the diabetic neuropathy had been found to be very well controlled if the glucose control is being done by the DPP-4 inhibitor. Patient with painful diabetic neuropathy had higher variations in daily glucose levels than painless, so it really worked well if you are using the gliptins. We found that vildagliptin superior control on the glycemic variability, especially the patient, those who were on the end-stage renal disease. The current study demonstrated that vildagliptin could reduce the blood glucose fluctuation in type 2 diabetes patients receiving maintenance hemodialysis for end-stage renal disease. VERIFY trial. This has been the talk of the town in this year of the 2021 when we could know that, although we were knowing that, starting the dual therapy in early days of the diabetes can give you a long-term treatment failure, free from treatment failure interval gap. But we could know that VERIFY trial has given us an opportunity to initiate the combination of DPP-4 inhibitors with the metformin, and we could see the treatment failure has been delayed up to the twice years. Early combo greatly extended the time in good control, almost just double. When metformin has been used alone, it has caused the treatment failure at 36.1 months, but when it has been combined with the vildagliptin, the treatment failure has been extended to the 61.9 months. SGLT2 inhibitors, as you all know, it is a class which has been benefited on the various CV risk factors. It helps in reducing glucose as well as reducing the hyperinsulinemia. It reduces the weight, helps in reducing adiposity, albuminuria. Sympathetic nervous system activity is found to be reduced with the use of the SGLT2 inhibitor, having a good effect on the natriuresis, blood volume also. This can be a little bit worrisome when blood volume is being reduced, causing the dehydration and loss of water is being lost. So it is important that we should be careful about the water intake when we are using the SGLT2 inhibitor. It can cause the mild ketonemia, which sometimes helps in thrifty substrate as a hypothesis in providing a good control of the cardiac patient or CV risk patient with the CV risk. Oxidative stress is being reduced. It reduces the uric acid, reduces the triglyceride level, although increasing the HDL cholesterol as increasing the magnesium both. Of course, underwent the hypertension correction as well as arterial stiffness. Canagliflozin is one of the only molecule which has been approved by US FDA to treat diabetic kidney disease and reduce the risk of hospitalization for heart failure in patients with type 2 diabetes and diabetic kidney disease. It is now the only type 2 diabetes medicine indicated in both to treat DKD and reduce the risk of hospitalization with the heart failure in patients with diabetes and kidney disease together. Higher postprandial glucose excursions in the in the Indian population. We can see it here that Indians are the highest in the postprandial hyperglycemia. At the same time, we are the country which is consuming the highest amount of the carbohydrate in their day-to-day diet. Significant contribution from the postprandial glucose, even at the higher HbA1c, is a tendency of the Asian people. We know that in the Caucasian counterpart, that as much as we go closer to the target, the postprandial contribution is more, and as much as we are away from the target, the fasting plasma glucose contributes more toward the HbA1c. But in Indian settings, or especially in the Asian settings, where we are using the carbohydrates more in our diet, we see that either we are closer to the target or we are away from the target. This is the postprandial glucose, which always remains on the driving seat. So type 2 diabetes begins with the meal-related hyperglycemia in many patients, not only working on the first phase insulin secretion, but also on the second phase of an insulin secretion impaired, causing postprandial hyperglycemia together with the fasting glucose uncontrolled, which may become the earliest marker of the type 2 diabetes when we see that postprandial hyperglycemia is coming earlier. Normalization of the post-meal plasma glucose level should be the target for the rational therapy and the goal in the early stages of the disease. In India, like country where the doctor-patient ratio is very poor, where a doctor doesn't have much time to explain with the patient. We do not have enough time, we do not have enough infrastructure to interact with the patient. So many of the times the insulin strategies which are with the basal insulin, they are not working so well, although it is effective in the early days, in the initial, but as the time passes, we see that patients, those who are on the basal insulin, added up with the existing diabetic therapy, with basal insulin, they also start losing their control. For them, basal plus, basal bolus, and premix insulin, these three options were there, but most of the time basal plus and basal bolus are so technically complicated that patients may not be having enough understanding of these combinations, and premix insulin becomes the choice of most of the Indian doctors. And now the co-formulation has added up into those premix insulin choices, and they are providing a relatively easy to teach and simple for the patient treatment, offering better postprandial glucose control together with overall glycemic correction. As far as we talk about the GLP-1 receptor agonist, the recommendations has been given from the World Organization for the Glucose Lowering Treatment, those who are having with diabetes. Although we see that liraglutide, semaglutide, and dulaglutide all are recommended in patients with type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease, or at those who are at very high or high CV risk to reduce the cardiovascular event. We see in the LEADER trial, in the SUSTAIN 6, which was done with the semaglutide, as well as in the REWIND, which was done with the dulaglutide, all has been evidence that cardiovascular death and non-fatal MI as well as non-fatal stroke 3-point MACE could be reduced as compared to the placebo while giving these medications for the treatment. We know that SGLT2 inhibitors has been the first-line therapy for type 2 diabetic patients, especially those who are the drug-naive patient with atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease or having very high risk or high risk for the cardiovascular adverse outcomes. And this has not been established by any group of the doctors. This has been proven by the evidences by multiple trials. When we talk about this SGLT2 inhibitors, we know that EMPA-REG outcome, empagliflozin has conferred the early and sustained risk reduction for cardiovascular death in patients with type 2 diabetes and atherosclerotic cardiovascular disease. Asian patient has been found to be better risk reduction as compared to the overall study population, where we could see only 38% risk reduction, but in Asian patient we could be seen that 56% risk reduction achieved while using the empagliflozin. It has demonstrated a clinically meaningful 21% relative risk reduction, the composite primary endpoint of the cardiovascular death or hospitalization of the heart failure. What we could see that not only the relative risk reduction was reduced, but empagliflozin patient, those who were being offered that, reduced the CV events rate as well. Empagliflozin consistently lowered risk of the cardiovascular death and hospitalization with the heart failure in patients across the spectrum of the heart failure, may it be in the reduced ejection fraction or in the preserved ejection fraction. In both category of the patient, we could see this kind of the benefit. Empagliflozin confers the significant and meaningful cardiovascular benefits in patients across the CV risk continuum, whether we are giving it with the type 2 diabetes patient with low medium cardiovascular disease risk, or we are increasing with the increasing risk. Although amount of the protection and amount of the risk reduction is getting lesser and lesser, but we are seeing it is working at any stage of the cardiovascular risk factor together with diabetes. So early aggressive treatment with 2 drugs or 3 drugs combination to control sugar has really worked well, and it is changing the complication cascade going to happen later. Many of the times we see a number of young patients comes to us and they say that we are too young to start with the medication. At this time we can say them, if we are really not giving the tight controlled diabetes management, it's really going to be very fatal for them. They are going to reduce their lifespan. The patient behavior changes with the multiple stages with multiple way. Lack of awareness, sometimes poor motivation, that is seen in many of the patients, those who are in the village background or in the rural background, but even in the cities also we see number of people keep their awareness very, very less, and they are really not motivated. Here the task of the healthcare professional becomes more and more difficult. Economic constraints, sometimes they do not identify the risk, they remain in the denial mode, the immediate benefits are not really being seen, because when you offer them SGLT2 inhibitor kind of the drug, when you offer them GLP-1 receptor agonist kind of the drug, they say, why to take this costly drug when I can get the glucose control with the less costly medication. The lack of the family and social support sometimes may be important. Doctor shopping, urban-rural phenomena may also work in such situation. The way forward, after merging evidences with the experiences, we must go one by one with the step-by-step, making the patient following the diet, ensure patient exercise regularly before any medication is to be given. If patient is being given metformin, up titrate it, but if metformin is not the right choice, not necessarily it should always be used. Modern sulfonylurea can be used, but better to choose the right gliptin if there is no constraint. Know the pros and cons of the pioglitazone and alpha glucosidase inhibitors, and they should be placed rightly at the right time to make the good control. Right place for the SGLT2 inhibitor in our patients must be identified, and this is not always at the end, but it is sometimes or most of the time it is earlier in the disease. Prefer the combination. Patient should be adhere to the treatment in most important, but it is mostly lost. So always watch whether the patient is adhering to the treatment or not. Number of times it is seen that patient is not following your instruction, and ultimate thing is that to assess whether the patient has really achieved goal or not. So this is the management plan which based on the SMART goal. S specifies the specific, M should be the measurable, A is the achievable, and R is the realistic, and T should be the time bound or time limited. So we should be very much specific, measurable, achievable, and realistic, as well as at the appropriate time, and that is a SMART treatment for the diabetes. Thank you very much for the kind listening.